Guys, we'll get going here in a second. Give it a minute. Two. I didn't really market this. Just doing a live. It'll be recorded, be on the channel. So that I'd have the option of people asking questions live as well. Alright, well, welcome everyone. My name's Jeremy Byers. I am the one that created this marketplace. Both the back-end framework for more technical people and also the front-end UI and things like that. A lot of different phases that I did. Went through a lot of design updates, back-end updates, functionality, and things like that. So from where we are now, you can see this is the actual homepage of the marketplace now and sort of what it looks like, right, from a visual standpoint. The homepage, I try to make it, one thing that was important to me is the user friendliness of just the initial logon page and being able to find cards that you want to find and things like that, right? So up here we have just a basic search bar that I put in. You can do everything, by category. So we have all the sports, we have all the non-sport stuff, and things like that. These are all part of the sports, and then we'll be adding other things into the non-sports. We have Marvel, Pokemon, Garbage Pail Kids, Fortnite. We're also going to be adding Zero Cool, things like that here soon. And then it's broken down by type as well, whether it's sport cards, memorabilia, or non-sport cards. We offer 3 different formats for our auctions and for our listings. So we do have just a straight auction. If you do an auction, you can do it 5, 7, or 10 days. We do a fixed price, and then we have a fixed price with the best offer, right? So you can make an offer and accept or decline and go back and forth and negotiate that way. Those you're able to put at 5, 7, 10, or 30 days for fixed price or fixed price best offer. So, and then obviously you can sort by price and grade it and things like that. So that's where we're at today. I sort of wanted to show you guys and give you a trip down memory lane of what this used to look like. And this is just a slideshow I did a long time ago when I first did this. So this is sort of, to level set, this is sort of 2 years in the making. So I built this roughly around 2000. It was during the COVID stuff, during COVID pretty much. And I figured, I always heard people complain about selling fees and things like that, and eBay and what the shortcomings were and people were seeing. Now, eBay is a monster, right? No one's going to unseat eBay from the hobby marketplace. There's just too many eyes, too many people that utilize that. But I just wanted to give another option, and what that option is a marketplace that didn't have any finding selling fees and actually was subscription based, which means, and the way we built it out is, if you want to sign up to buy, it's completely free. But if you wanted to sign up and sell, we offered like a 4-tier sort of subscription model in which you just paid monthly if you wanted to, or you pay one fee for 3 months, 6 months, and a year. And I'll go over what those are because they have not changed since I built this out. We've actually started to offer like sort of a free trial to sell as well with no fees as well. But this is what this site used to look like, right? So this was the home page. It was very blocky, very basic and stuff like that. And then we had like our sort of our tiers, what they look like, what you got with all of the tiers and things like that. You know, just a bunch of different pages, how to create an account, the fact page and stuff like that. So you can see we came a very long way design wise, because now it's a lot more fluent. It looks a lot more professional in my opinion. You know, we have our standard footer and header that I've built out with all our support, you know, our privacy policy, our terms of use, how to contact us, how to subscribe for news and updates and things like that. So that's sort of how this first page is built out. And I actually am in the process of selling quite a bit on this to a couple buyers and stuff like that. So you'll be able to see some of the things that are actively happening. As you can see, I have over here on my dashboard. So I'm actually logged in. I have a dashboard. There's a home page, my profile settings, my subscription. You know, you can see a bunch of different things. But the dashboard here sort of tells me, so you can see it goes back to like March 2022. I did a revamp at the beginning of the year, so you can see there's a lot of things that didn't happen here. I sort of wanted to put enhancements and things like that, things that I saw what were happening. But you can see since January of this year, I've sold over $500 worth of items and things like that. And I've added multiple different functionality pieces to this to sort of help with, you know, what I wanted to try to accomplish. So I really had a core, you know, group of things that I wanted to, you know, really push across with this marketplace. And the first was I didn't want any selling fees, right? And I didn't see anything that was subscription based when I built this, started to build this in 2020. Not a lot of things, you know, everything. I think a long time ago there was someone that was trying to do it or something like that. I don't know if it ever came through because it takes time, effort. I don't know if they were technically savvy in which they could save money by building out some of, you know, the code and the scripting and the back end and the framework and everything like that and the database themselves, or if they were, you know, if you're sort of reliant on another company to do those things, it's going to get very costly. So I'm not sure if that was the, you know, if that was the reason or what it was, but so my core things that I wanted to do, right? I didn't want any selling fees. I wanted buyer and seller feedback. So a buyer could leave a seller feedback and a seller could leave buyer feedback. And that was very transparent. I wanted a short return window and only for certain circumstances. I didn't want it to be a cookie cutter result or, you know, a decision, cookie cutter decision. Sort of like, you know, I hear a lot of people saying eBay, you know, doesn't, you know, always protects the buyer, never protects the seller. That's not always true from what I've seen, but I want people have that, you know, that image for some reason because of things that they've heard or experienced themselves. But I wanted to have, you know, buyer and seller feedback. I wanted to have a 5-day return window, and in that return window, you know, it had to get approved, and there had to be evidence based on that. And there was only a couple things. What I was trying to do is, right, I want to prevent the you buy a card and then 10 days later the guy, you know, tears his ACL, and then, you know, they want to return that card. eBay has sort of changed their policy, even when I had this policy at the beginning, but they've changed their policy. But I don't make a decision. I hear both sides. We, our sort of a support team looks at these and then makes a decision based on the evidence provided, and it's decided whether a refund is granted or no refund is granted, right? Or the return is granted. So it's another thing. We also didn't want any plain white envelope. Everything that's sold has to have tracking, and I know a lot of people, if you're selling a card under $20, right? Tracking is not very cost effective for whatever margins and profits, when you're selling lower end cards. I'll be talking about this a little bit later and what we're doing to, sort of curb that. It's the same thing that eBay does, right? eBay has their standard envelope now, right? Service where it's very limited tracking, but there is tracking. There's a lot of issues with it still, but it's the best that you have with tracking, and I think that's how I want to keep that. I want to keep that tracking because then it gives a full picture of what's going on, especially during disputes and stuff like that. So we do offer combined shipping. So again, you can combine shipping on things for users. So if they buy a lot of items, everything like that, that it can be combined as well to make it more cost effective, obviously. The other thing that we put in place is we have a one strike policy. So we don't, if someone doesn't pay, it's never been determined. This is something that's already sort of bothered me, is non-payer strikes, right? You have these non-payer strikes that marketplaces get, but it's never defined what happens, right? They're limited? I don't know what that means. Are they, suspended for a certain amount of time? I know you can lose like your seller status or something like that, but again, if someone's doing this constantly, I don't think they really care about their status as that, and you're not leaving feedback, right, to the buyers, so you don't realize that they're not paired. But the way I've tried to track this, and the way I think it's fair, is really if you don't ship something or pay for something within 3 business days, your account is suspended, and then you can appeal that, right, based on circumstances out of your control or something like that, and then you'll get reinstated. But you get pretty much one strike. So if that happens again, you're booted from the thing, and it's not as easy as just creating a new account on eBay. We have ways to know, because if you're selling or if you're buying and stuff like that, there's certain things that are connected to your account that we can see, right? You can't just create another user and have the same address. You'd have to go through the whole process of having it shipped to a different address, all these different things. But we really wanted to make it a safe environment, and we feel like 3 business days is plenty of time to complete a transaction. So that's what it is. And those are the core things that we sort of put into place that I wanted to see. So those are all in there. And that's the sort of the principle and the foundation of this marketplace. And those things are never going to change. They might be tweaked a little, but there's not going to be huge changes around those things, because I think that's something that is missing, and it weeds out the bad of the hobby, which there is, because when there's money, there's greed, there's all sorts of things. There's just people become different animals, right, when there's money involved, especially when there's a lot of money, which when the sports card market boomed, right, you're going to see more of that. It doesn't, every show you hear about someone getting caught trying to steal cards. You hear about hobby stores getting broken into, things like that. It's getting to that point because there's money involved, right? So just one thing I'm trying to do to protect our users. But So that's pretty much the gist of what we're trying to do here. Why I built this. Again, like I said, it took a long time to get here. I don't do this full time. I have a normal job, 8 to 5 job. But I did this for quite some time, just building the back end of this and building the framework, like I've been talking about, and the UI. Um, if anyone understands this, it's built on Laravel and PHP. So that's how sort of what's been used to build this. But to take a look at a couple other things, so I'm going to show you some things that you can do with this because I actually have items that are in here. So you can see selling. I have one item here. So I've been selling stuff, and if I go here, there's a bunch of things. I can easily just click on this and sell an item. Very easy to list stuff. You just need, these fields, upload a picture, shipping item, all that stuff, shipping format, fixed price, if you allow offers, what your start price is, all that jazz. This shows you all the active listings you have. So you can filter by, how many bids there are, how many favorites there are. You can see there's a bunch of people that have favored a lot of this stuff. Any offers you received in the last like 30 days, no offer there. Here's one thing that I've added. So if you put something for auction for 7 days and no one buys it or there's no bids, it goes into here. You can ignore this. You can see I tested all this stuff a long time ago. But you can see I have 3 items here. I can easily relist these individually, or I can unlist them, so I take them off of the marketplace. But you can also bulk relist. So if I want to relist all 3 of these at the same time, I select those 3, I relist. All 3 have been relisted now and are back active, and they actually restart. So if I had these listed for 7 days, they'll start again, 7-day auction. So you can do it that way. I can go into my items sold. I can see what was paid. You can see the shipping. So a lot of these things, right, were combined. So you have like shipping of $4, and then it's broken up into 88 cents and stuff like that because the shipping was, things. You can see stuff that people have bought from me recently. So you can see like, here's a Mookie Betts purple refractor that was purchased 99 cents. When you look at this too, there's a couple things you can do. You can favorite it. You can share it on your socials. You can actually see the description. I don't know why the description says Wander Franco rookie card, but I must have messed that up. But you can see like all the different, here's all the feedback I've gotten as a seller, right? And then I also made the bids completely transparent. So if shill bidding happens, you can see the person, the user that is doing the shill bidding and stuff like that. It can be caught earlier, and that that account can be suspended and things like that, because you'll be able to see, right, who. One, there's rules in place where you can't bid on your own items, but 2, if someone creates another account or something, or a friend of somebody creates an account and shill bids, it's going to be very easy for me on the back end to try to piece this all together and where things are going and stuff like that. So very easy to figure that out. So it's that. Item returns. So if an item gets returned, you can sort of do that. Then you have stuff waiting for payment. If there was things that were waiting for someone to pay you, right, within that 72 hours, they display here. Then you have waiting for shipment. So I actually have an item I have to ship. It sold yesterday. And you can see here, there's a couple things that I can do. One, I can leave feedback. So I'm actually going to leave feedback for the seller. Fast payment, or buyer, great buyer. Submit that feedback. There you go. Now there's 2 things I could do. If I hit this info button, I'm not going to do it because it displays his name, his address, things like that, so I know where to ship it to. And then here is where, if I hit add tracking, I could put in I have to put in the tracking number, so it's in here. So if I go ahead and do this, right? So I'm actually going to, and what I usually do is I do it in Pirate Ship. So if I go to Pirate Ship, I know this user, so I'm going to actually print a label right now. And for the purposes of this live video, I'll show you how to go about and do this. So I bought the label. I'm going to print it right now. I have a thermal printer, Zebra thermal printer, which makes it a ton easier, but you can go to the post office, whatever, get the tracking number, input it later. Like I said, there is some stuff that I'm working on that we're going to talk about. I'll print that. Copy the shipment details. I'll add my tracking. Here's my tracking number. I'll submit it. Tracking's been updated. So now there's a couple things I can do. It lets me know of the carrier and the tracking number. And you can update the tracking if you fat finger something or something like that. Or, you know, anything like that. And then when the item is shipped, and you can actually click this, right, and it'll bring up the tracking tool and show you the status. But as soon as it's shipped, and I'll just do this because I know I'm shipping it tomorrow, you would mark it shipped. And what that does, in shipping, you should only mark this and click this when your item has been delivered or picked up, right? You shouldn't do it beforehand. That's going to be very easy to catch, and that's going to be part of our one strike policy. And the reason why is because when you click shipped, that's what triggers your payout. So as soon as I click this and I mark it as shipped, and sometimes it takes a little while, but you'll see it goes away, and then I'll see it in my item shipped, and you'll be able to track it here. So you can see, like, here's all this info. This is going to change, just because I notice it's not very intuitive, but you could do a lot of things here. You can track, right? Look, you know, here it was tracked. It was delivered to this person there on February 14th. You can see all the tracking directly from here. So that sort of shows that. And then also, right, we have our payout options here. When a buyer goes to buy, he can either pay via Stripe, which is a normal, you know, credit card, debit card, whatever, or he has the option to pay via PayPal. And if he can only do that if you have a PayPal email currently in here. So you can see here's my personal email if you guys want to send me spam, whatever. And you can do that here. A couple other things I have here. I built in an appraisal tool. You can see everything that I've sold and what it sold for, how many people were watching it, things like that. Completely transparent. So I wanted this to be completely transparent. Highest sold, you know, you can see I sold a couple, you know, a couple of these were sold by somebody else. We sold a long time ago, 2018 Bowman Draft, Lewis Robert, Maris Auto, John Smoltz, John Morant Playbook, you know, Kyle Lewis stuff, all this different craziness that was sold. I also built in this, just a silly tool that I wanted to have. So I built it in. You only get these if you have a membership, like you're doing a subscription, but it's a return on investment tool. So I can just look at any test item here I just put in. You can actually just track a card that you want. You could track up to like 10 cards, right? So if I want to add another month, and let's say, you know, now it's February, I have August, September, October, and let's say, okay, now it's February 2023. and it went up to, you know, $650. And I save this, and you know, you refresh and you check it out. You're like, whoa, let's see what happened. And you could see like, you know, did this. This needs to be worked a little bit. As you can tell, it's backwards right now because these are backwards. So you would normally do it right in the correct order and stuff like that. So I was just playing around with it, test item. But you know, if I did February, let's delete that. Refresh, but it's pretty much just a chart, you know, with a graph. So February 2023, $100. You know, and let's just say, you know, March next month. You can do it by month, or you can do it by, you know, add another same point in time in the same month and things like that, and then just sort of right get a chart of, you know, where we're at. So 50, you know, save this. That sort of gives you a chart like, whoa, you know, this is going up, 50% increase month over month. So a little something I was just playing around with, but it's just something that would be cool if you're tracking different cards and just want to keep outside of a spreadsheet or something, right? Then you got messages, right? You have your inbox, you have sent, you have all these different things. Compose, you know, select all the, you know, any user that's in here. See all the users in here. You have your account, so you have subscription, your payment methods, your password, or you can cancel your account. Things like that. So that's what it looks like today. Now I want to talk about where I see this going, right? Obviously, it's hard to get a user base from larger marketplaces. It's just a hard thing, right? To get that market penetration. It's a very difficult thing. It takes a lot of money and stuff like that, which I just, you know, I don't have. I do this solo. I don't take any other. I haven't taken any other investment. I haven't partnered with anyone. I haven't done anything like that. This is just a one-man shop. This is me. So, and it's just a passion project, really, is what it is. I love sports cards. I love doing this. If I thought I could do it full time, I would, but it's just too risky. Like I don't, you know, I didn't come. I'm not saying people that do this full time came from a bankroll, but I didn't plan on doing this, you know, full time because I have a job that I really like as well outside of this in IT. So, and it's challenging and creative and stuff like that. So I continue to do that. But I just wanted to go through like a couple things now of where I see sort of this going, right? And I'll just pull this over because it's just easier to show it on like a sort of a slide so you can see. So 4 things I'm going to be focusing on in the next quarter and 2, or you know, 2 quarters pretty much, 6 months. User hobby shop. So what this means, right, is stores, just like eBay has stores and stuff like that. So users will have their own store to where, you know, all their cards that are for sale and currently active will be grouped together as well as displayed on the main dashboard, right? So if someone likes a certain seller or wants to save a seller and then buy a bunch of cards from that seller to get combined shipping and stuff like that, it's going to be easier to do. Currently, you know, you can find a user and find his cards and go through and stuff like that, but this makes it a lot easier and condenses it and puts it in one spot. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Bulk uploads. So this is something that I think is important too, because it doesn't take a lot of time to list an item currently, but the faster you can do it, the more cards you can put on here, the bigger the marketplace gets, the more, you know, time is money. That's a simple statement. So a way to upload, it'll probably be like a CSV file that you sort of fill out. It's a template that's given to you. You know, you put all the details in, you attach the photos and stuff like that, and then you can bulk upload it and it gives you, all your items ready to list, and sort of puts it in a stage table before you list it. So you bulk upload it, you sort of review it and look like, okay, here's everything. Does this look good? Okay, this looks good. Push it, and then it uploads everything and pushes it. So it's like a sort of a two-step thing. There's like a staging table in which it will be held, and then you can review it and then publish it, sort of. So those items are live and active, or you can schedule it to all of them. Some can list some here, some will list some here, and you can sort of schedule how you want to list them based on events, right? So if you had Patrick Mahomes cards and you wanted to sell them right when the Super Bowl ended previously, you could easily do that and things like that. So third thing, and we sort of touched on this earlier, is shipping integrations with options. So right now, everything is, you have to buy everything manually, do everything manually. So however you get your labels, or whether you go to the post office or something like that, you have to take the tracking and input it. What I want to be able to do in the future here shortly is have that integration to where you can buy those things direct, right. We have an API that goes out, and you can do those things right from our marketplace, and then it would automatically upload that tracking. You wouldn't have to worry about that. You would just have to mark it shipped when it's shipped, so your payout gets processed. And that, Stripe, it goes through Stripe, and Stripe takes, depending on your bank and stuff like that, it's still not an instantaneous thing, because of just, security things like that. It's like a 2 or 3 day process that it's sort of on hold. And that's good because it gives us time to make sure things are being shipped, and make things are moving through the process of how they are and stuff like that. Make sure everything's going well in the transaction. But another thing, like I was talking about before, is eBay has started using the standard envelope, and it comes with that tracking, that EUS tracking number, very limited tracking and stuff like that. So we are going through the process of working that out as well, what that's going to look like. It's going to be something just sort of like eBay, where it's, whether 75 cents, 90 cents, $1.05, based on, a 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce, or something like that, with the same restrictions that eBay sort of has for that, right? So there can only be a certain thickness there. So if it's a thicker card or something like that, you'd still probably have to use first class or something like that, for the have the tracking, things like that. So, and then finally, it's called BST Markets, sports cards. So we want to get trading involved, right? We have the buying, we have the selling, we need the T, and the T is the trading piece of it. So I'm working out what that's going to look like, who's going to be able to do that. You would obviously probably have to have a subscription, and other subscribers could trade with them, and it's can easily be done in a safe manner. And what that's going to look like, I'm not sure, because there's going to have to be a third party involved, right? And you guys don't know me, so how I don't want to be just say like, oh yeah, you send your cards to me, and then I'll check them, and then I'll send them out to you. I want to make sure everything's in place so you guys feel comfortable with what that process is going to look like trading. But I want to make it to where it can be done just like a card show is done, where you can throw money in as well to even out the trade, or there could be multiple cards for one card and things like that. So you're looking at, when you think about it, you're looking at different panels and different UIs, web pages for these users to sort of, pull cards into, like, sort of, just like if you're playing a card game. I don't know if any of you have played like a game where, like a TCG game or something like that, right? Where Magic, you're like, I'm playing this card, and I can play this card and this card, and this guy just pulls one card in, right? I wanted to do the same thing, where you have sort of your deck of cards that you have eligible for trade, and then a person can go into that, select the cards that they're interested, select the cards that they're willing to trade, and then send you that offer, and you see it, right? And then you're like, oh, this looks like a good trade. You can accept it, or you can decline it, or you can send a response and be like, here's my counter, right? And then you either add more cards, or you're saying, I want also $20 or something like that, right? So that's where I envision that going. That is going to take the longest time, because there's going to have to be a bunch of things built around that, because they don't exist now. But and then what I envisioned was the cards will come to a central location, central as in, you know, where we are. The items will be brought in. They will be scanned, looked to make sure they are the correct cards that were sent in, that were agreed to. Those scans and everything will go out to the parties and be like, this is what we have. Is this correct? Yes. This is what we have. Is this correct? Yes. Okay, it has been accepted upon, both parties agreed, and then they will be shipped their separate ways, right? So that's how we're sort of envisioning it. Like I said, it's a very intensive process to build that out, and it's probably going to be the last thing on the list, because again, I would rather do things right than rushed. So that's what we're currently going to do. But all right, well, I think that's sort of it for tonight. There was no real questions. This was live. This will be on our YouTube channel. You can rewatch this. If you ever have any questions, you're always feel free to reach out to me at jeremy@bstsportcards.com, or you can submit a question via contact us down here. You just put your name, your email, your message, make sure you're not a robot, and then shoot that message. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you all for coming to this little talk. Hopefully we add these exciting things to the marketplace, and you give us a try. So thanks all, and have a good rest of your week, and have a good weekend. Hopefully you guys go into some card shows this week, and they're all starting to pick up. I'll be going to the Shipshawana card show, not this weekend, obviously next weekend. Then I have another card show here in the Chicagoland region called the Region Card Show in Maryville, Indiana. So I will have a table there, and hopefully if you guys are in the Chicagoland area, I see you around. All right. Thanks, everyone.